Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and fellow seekers of knowledge, welcome to this thought-provoking forum titled Just or Inhumane, Assessing the True Impact of Death Penalty Sentences. I am Amanda Sunindai Amadeus, and I'm honored to be a moderator for this critical discussion. Today, we have the privilege of hosting two distinguished professional criminologists, experts in their field, who will share their insights on this contentious topic. But before we delve into our discussion, let us set the stage with a video clip that made headlines last year.
Malaysia will do away with mandatory death penalties for crimes like murder and drug trafficking. Judges will have discretion in deciding on alternatives to capital punishment. Malaysia Law Minister Wan Junadi Tuanku says there will be further studies to ensure the rights of all parties involved are protected. The country has 33 crimes punishable by death. About 1,400 people are on death row as of late last year. Melissa Goh tells us how we got to this pivotal moment on ending executions in Malaysia.
It has been a work in progress for many years. Now, the promise to abolish mandatory death sentence was actually in the manifesto of the Pakatan Harapan government led by Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. In fact, the then law minister, the late Liew Wee Kiong, advocated the complete removal of death sentence then. But it was met with resistance from some quarters, including families of murder victims. Now, nevertheless, the abolition of the mandatory death sentence itself for 11 offences, including drug trafficking, ought to be congratulated. Human rights lawyers are telling me it signals that this government, led by Prime Minister Ismail Sabri, is willing to look into restorative justice, enhance the whole criminal justice system. In fact, the Law Minister, Wan Junaidi himself, in a statement said that the special committee, led by former Chief Justice Richard Melanjung, has proposed setup of a sentencing council and guidelines for judges to help them in exercising their discretion. Now, although a death sentence is still in the law that for serious offences such as murder, drug trafficking, firearms offences, and so on, it's no longer mandatory, the proposal. And also, it's a long battle for human rights activists. They said, this has removed a flaw in the criminal justice system and put Malaysia in a better position, they said, to argue and speak out for those facing death sentence in other countries.
Thank you all for watching that insightful video shedding light on the recent abolishment of the mandatory death penalty sentence in Malaysia, a significant step that has sparked debates worldwide. Now, as we embark on this crucial discussion, let us take a moment to reflect on the global and local context of the death penalty. Globally, the death penalty remains a deeply divisive issue, with countries adopting various stances on its use. Some argue that it serves as a deterrent, while others condemn it as a violation of fundamental human rights. As of 2023, over half of the world countries have abolished the death penalty in law or practice, according to Amnesty International. However, a significant number still carry out executions, igniting discussions about morality, justice, and the effectiveness of such sentences. In the Malaysian context, the recent abolishment of the death penalty marks a noteworthy departure from historical practices. This decision has stirred conversation about the evolving understanding of justice within the nation and its impact on broader global perspectives. Today, we are fortunate to have two distinguished professional criminologists who will help us navigate these complex issues and shed light on the implication of death penalty sentences. Without further delay, let me introduce our esteemed guest speakers, Dr. Jess Yeap Thong Ying and Dr. Soo Li Yen, who will provide us with their valuable insights. Our first question is directed to both panelists. How would you define the role of criminology in assessing the impact of death penalty sentences? Dr. Jess, would you like to start?
Sure. Thank you, moderator, for the introduction, and I appreciate the opportunity to contribute to this important discussion. In my opinion, when addressing the impact of death penalty sentences within the criminal justice system, it is crucial to explore the psychological impact of the death penalty on individuals, families, and communities. This involves studying the emotional toll on those involved in the legal process to have a closer look at the potential effects on the mental health of individuals affected by the death penalty. For example, interviews and surveys with the convicts of victims' families, as well as law enforcement personnel. Through this qualitative and quantitative analysis, the psychological stress and trauma experienced by these individuals can be accessed. And this provides insights into the ethical challenges, which are pivotal in contributing to discussions about the fairness and moral implications of death penalty. And studying this impact helps reveal how attitudes towards justice, retribution, and human rights are shaped, and thereby providing valuable information about the societal implications of maintaining or abolishing the death penalty. In other words, exploring the psychological impact adds a human dimension to the assessment of death penalty sentences. And besides that, I would also like to highlight the role of criminologists in investigating cases of wrongful convictions, especially in the context of death penalty sentences. And this is important to identify flaws in legal processes, inadequate legal presentation, and investigative errors that may have led to the wrongful sentencing of individuals. And cases where individuals on death row who were later exonerated due to new forensic evidence, witness statements should be examined. This is because such cases they directly speak to the reliability and the criminal justice system. If errors occur in death penalty cases, it certainly raises concerns about the accuracy of the legal processes and the potential for innocent individuals to be executed.
Thank you, Dr. Jess. What about you, Dr. Lian? What is your insight on this question?
Well, I totally agree with what Dr. Jess said. In my opinion, we must consider what the death penalty entails. Death penalty has a long history in the criminal justice system around the world and has been used for a number of purposes such as protection of society, retaliation, and deterrent. As a criminologist, the role in assessing the impact of death penalty sentences is crucial and diverse. Criminology uses empirical research techniques to analyze the effects of the death penalty on people and society. It involves investigating judicial procedure closely, looking into prejudice, and estimating the possibility of mistaken convictions in the context of the death penalty. By providing data to support policy deliberations, the discipline helps to understand if the death sentences have any deterrent impact on crime rates. Moreover, we also examine how the death sentences affect society, taking into consideration how it affects vulnerable public views of justice and how it could contribute to social inequality. Criminologists can spot inequalities and patterns of justice in the criminal justice system by looking at the social and demographic characteristics of those who have been given the death penalty. Therefore, criminology plays an important role in assessing the impact of death penalty sentences.
Thank you, Dr. Lian. Our second question is crucial in the context of our discussion on death penalty sentences. What are the chances of wrongful convictions occurring within the criminal justice system? Dr. Lian, your thoughts?
Well, the chances of wrongful convictions occurring within the criminal justice system are a recurring and worrying feature of the legal environment. Even though the criminal justice system is set up to protect the innocent and maintain the rules of law, mistakes, prejudices, and structural shortcomings can lead to wrongful convictions. The criminal justice system is susceptible to incorrect convictions due to several factors. The use of human judgment by juries in trials and law enforcement in investigations is one important component. Decisions made under pressure to solve crimes, witness misidentifications can all result in poor choice. Also, inadequate legal representations and faulty forensic evidence raise the possibility of wrongfully convicted individuals as well. It's very crucial for us to engage in research and identify that may lead to wrongful convictions.
Thank you, Dr. Lian. Dr. Jess, would you like to share your thoughts on this method?
Certainly. According to my research, studies and statistics on wrongful convictions are able to provide insights into the prevalence of these errors occurring within the criminal justice system. For instance, the Innocence Project, which is a non-profit organization dedicated to exonerating wrongfully convicted individuals, has played a significant role in highlighting the scope of this problem. And as of my last knowledge update in January 2022, the Innocence Project reported over 300 people in the United States who have been exonerated by DNA testing since the early 1990s. And they are mostly prisoners who serve an average of 13 years in prison before their exoneration and release. These exonerations often reveal specific issues such as eyewitness misidentifications, unreliable forensic evidence, and prosecutorial misconduct. The chances of such errors occurring vary across jurisdiction and legal systems, but I strongly believe the acknowledgement of their existence underscores the need for ongoing reforms and improvements within the criminal justice system.
Thank you both for providing such thoughtful perspectives on the role of criminology and the challenges associated with wrongful convictions. Your insights shed light on the complexities surrounding the impact of death penalty sentences. Building on that, in your opinion as criminologists, what role does criminology play in addressing and preventing wrongful convictions in death penalty cases? Dr. Jess, your insights?
In my opinion, identifying systemic issues within the criminal justice system is a crucial step in preventing wrongful convictions, and criminology certainly plays a significant role in this process. The root causes that give rise to wrongful convictions should be identified by examining various cases where errors occurred in order to identify the recurring patterns and the systemic weaknesses. And once these are identified, the criminologist can contribute by recommending specific changes to policies, procedures, and practices within the criminal justice system. For example, if it is found that there is a high rate of mistaken eyewitness identifications leading to wrongful convictions, criminologists may advocate for the adoption of improved identification protocols. And I believe that the comprehensive understanding of criminologists on how interconnected factors contribute to errors is more crucial instead of addressing problems on a case-by-case basis. Like rather than reacting to individual cases of wrongful convictions, the goal is to proactively implement changes that reduce the likelihood of wrongful convictions occurring in the first place. Basically, the ultimate goal is to minimize the risk of innocent individuals facing the irreversible consequences of the death penalty due to errors in the legal process. And as a fellow criminologist, I'm also curious about Dr. Li Yen's perspective on the significant role criminology plays in addressing and preventing wrongful convictions in death penalty cases. Dr. Li Yen, would you mind sharing your insights with us?
Great, I completely agree with what you just said. I believe that criminology plays a significant role in addressing and preventing wrongful convictions in death penalty cases through many contributions that include advocacy for policies, research, and education. We can examine elements including false confessions, inaccurate forensic evidence, misidentifications by eyewitnesses, and insufficient legal representations through empirical research. These studies contribute to the identification of weak points and the development of evidence-based policies meant to lower the possibility of incorrect judgments.
Thank you both for emphasizing the proactive role criminology can play in addressing and preventing wrongful convictions. Your insights highlight the importance of collaboration and evidence-based reforms within the criminal justice system. Our final question delves into the exploration of alternative forms of punishment. Can criminology provide insights into alternative forms of punishment that might yield more effective rehabilitation outcomes, promoting the successful reintegration of offenders into society? Dr. Li Yen, your thoughts?
Alright, no problem. To answer your questions, it is true that criminology is essential in pointing out alternative kinds of punishment that put a priority on effective offender reintegration into society and rehabilitation. Additionally, criminologists must investigate the underlying reasons of criminal behavior, which helps to shape the creation of programs that deal with problems like drug abuse, poverty, and lack of education. Alternative strategies such as education and vocational training, community-based rehabilitation programs, and drug and alcohol treatment programs that prioritize rehabilitation then can reintegrate offenders into their communities. How about you, Jess? What do you think about this?
Personally, I would like to emphasize counseling and mental health support as part of the punishment process. In this way, the underlying mental health issues that may contribute to criminal behavior can be addressed to foster emotional well-being and at the same time also reduce the risk of future offenses. And furthermore, skill building components can also be incorporated within counseling sessions to equip individuals with healthy coping mechanisms. And this may involve teaching stress management techniques, interpersonal skills, and emotional regulation strategies, which thereby empower the offenders to manage their intense emotions in a constructive manner. And besides, I would also suggest shifting towards community-based corrections programs supporting Dr. Li Yen's opinion, such as probation or house arrest with electronic monitoring. This alternative keep the offenders within the community under supervision, allowing them to maintain connections with support systems as well as to engage in rehabilitative services.
Thank you both for your enlightening responses. These questions serve as a foundation for our discussion today. As we delve deeper into the impact of death penalty sentences, let's keep in mind the diverse perspectives that criminology offers on these critical matters. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being a part of this enlightening discussion on the impact of death penalty sentences. Our gratitude goes to our esteemed panelists, Dr. Jess Yeap Thong Ying, Dr. Jess Yap Thong Ying, and Soo Li Yen, Dr. Soo Li Yen, for sharing their invaluable insights. As we conclude today's forum, I'd like to invite our panelists to share their closing remarks. Dr. Jess, let's begin with you.
All right. To wrap up, the question of whether to abolish the death penalty or not remains profoundly subjective and depends on the personal belief and also the societal values of everyone. And however, amidst this subjectivity, we all share a common ground, and our mission is clear, which is to safeguard the innocent from the specter of wrongful convictions and to ensure that those who have committed face deserve punishments. And lastly, I would also like to extend my appreciation to our moderator for skillfully guiding our discussion, as well as Dr. Li Yen for your valuable insights. And that's all from me. Thank you for having me here.
Dr. Li Yen, do you have anything to add?
Well, the questions of whether the death penalty is justice or inhumane is subjective and contentious. Supporters contend that it gives victims' families closure and is a just penalty for horrible crimes. The opponents consider it as inhumane, a violation of a person's right to live, a possibility of wrongful executions, and a lack of evidence for an effective deterrent. The discussion centers on moral, legal, and human rights issues. Hence, whether a death sentence is just or inhumane depends on the viewpoint of the individual and the belief of the community. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jess and Dr. Li Yen, for your thoughtful contributions and for advocating a shift towards a more humane and rehabilitative justice system. Today's forum has indeed been an enlightening exploration of the true impact of death penalty sentences. As we live here today, let's carry these insights with us, fostering continued discussions and advocating for justice reform. On behalf of our panelists and the organizing committee, I extend our sincere gratitude to all of you for your engagement and commitment to a more just and compassionate society. This concludes our forum. Once again, thank you everyone, and may you continue to be champions of justice and humanity.